Hey, hey.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wrestle Recap. My name is Justin Tate.
My name is Michelle Tate.
We are the only brother-sister duo carrying you on the journey with us, pay-per-view by pay-per-view, of wrestling throughout the decades.
And we have a real great time doing it. And Justin, when you're trying to explain to a doctor what it is your podcast is about, and they're not a wrestling fan, it's really hard.
Oh, did you have the opportunity to do that?
Yeah. And she's like, oh yeah, my father-in-law loves wrestling. So what's it about? And I was like, basically we start like at the beginning of wrestling. Well, not the beginning of wrestling, but it's like in the 80s when pay-per-views started. And like we go through the story of wrestling. She's like, oh, it's like a soap opera. And I was like, basically, yeah.
Yeah. And then if she's that interested, there's Wrestle Stats that she can follow as well. So
there you go. Well, Justin, let's talk about some current wrestling news this week.
Let's do it. Now, we've seen a little bit of crossing over here lately between Raw and SmackDown ahead of Crown Jewel. We had Rhea Ripley popping up on SmackDown, and we've had a little bit of crossover. Cody Rhodes was on Raw this week. Let me ask you something. Do you like this when they cross shows like this, or do you like a hard and fast brand split in the WWE?
You know, I don't know. I think it kind of depends. I think I like it. At least I like it right now because I love surprises in wrestling. It's weird. In life, I hate surprises, but in wrestling, I like surprises. Yeah, I think I like it right now. I think having the brand split might help with well, no, I actually take that back. I like it because I think if SmackDown doesn't have your favorite wrestler on it, you're probably not going to watch it. If you're like more casual, like there are people who don't just love every wrestler like we do. And so I think it's helpful maybe to get everyone watching all the shows versus like splitting it. Cause kind of like Collision on AEW, I don't ever really watch it, but if they said like, hey, Swerve Strickland's going over there for a night, I would definitely watch it. I would make it a point to watch it. So what do you think?
You know, my need for organization likes a hard and fast brand split. I'm like, yeah. No, you stay over there on that side. But I mean, if it creates an interesting story, great. I'm looking forward to seeing Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. I think it's an interesting match. Do I wish that it was for one of their championships and the other one didn't have a championship? Yeah, I would like that better. But like, let's say the main event of Mania next year ends up being Cody Rhodes versus Gunther for the belt. I think that'd be awesome. It'll be a good match. So getting back to the original question, I prefer a hard and fast brand split, but I can understand why there has to be some sort of crossing of streams, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to keep your biggest stars like just on one show. What are you drinking? Is that a Coke float?
No, it's a combination of cranberry juice and pickle juice.
Why is it foamy?
That's ice.
Ice from the maker I got you?
Mm-hmm.
Is it good?
Yeah. It tastes like tastes kind of like you're drinking sweet and sour sauce.
Ew, are you pregnant?
Huh?
Are you pregnant? Like that is how did you come up with this combination?
You know, I do feel like my boobs have gotten bigger, so it's a possibility.
Well,
yeah, and I'm much more emotional, and yeah, it could be. It could be.
Welcome to womanhood, Justin's 2024. You can do it.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought it'd be a lot easier than this. I thought my facial hair would go away, but that's all right.
Hey, I have a sweet almond green tea. Mine's it is very feminine, but
is this going to be a segment every week now? We tell everybody what we're drinking.
Normally it's water, but I was feeling feisty today.
That should be the thing. We should tell everybody whenever we tweet out what the next show is going to be. Here is your drink to drink while you watch either our podcast or the pay-per-view.
Well, yours is a lot more interesting than mine. I saw that. And I was like, what the hell? And it's like in a giant mug for everyone who's not watching. It's a giant mug and it's a weird color. So I was like, what the hell is that?
Oh, back to the wrestling. Good news on the wrestling front. Shout out to Sam Houston, who we've covered here on the show several times. He announced this week that he is cancer free. So way to go, Sam Houston.
I'm still standing. I would have played that, but I couldn't get the sound cue up in time. All right. Well, my question for the current wrestling news, what is going on with Wyatt Six? Okay. Like they're feuding with The Miz, I guess. And we're just getting like video packages or like slow walk out to the ring, stare a little bit. Like, I feel like there was a really big buildup and it was super hot and it's just kind of fizzled. What's going on with that?
Yeah, it's weird because I can tell what they're trying to do,
Hmm.
like not overdo it, not overexpose it. At the same time, you don't want to underexpose it because you have a lot of talents in there who we haven't seen in the ring in a very long time, save for like one match, like Nikki Cross or Dexter Loomis, Eric
Hmm.
Rowan. Well, we wanted to see them. That's why this was so cool. So let us see them.
Yeah.
It seems like they are targeting certain people. Maybe that's going to play out, but I do feel like maybe we could push the fast forward button a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's taking too long and it's kind of like the Devil storyline with MJF and Adam Cole. It was like super hot and then it like took a little bit too long, then Adam Cole got injured. So,
Right.
but speaking of Adam Cole, he's back. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Baby. He is
Baby.
back. How
He
did you feel when he popped up there at the pay-per-view?
Oh my gosh, that was so great. I kind of wish they would have and I don't know why they didn't. Because they had like last week or whenever that was, Daniel Garcia come out and say like, I'm staying with AEW. I kind of wish they would have saved that for the pay-per-view because everyone's been like, is he going to sign? So when his music hit, we'd all be like, oh my God, he signed. Yay. And then MJF's music hit and, he's been gone for a little bit. And so I was excited. And then when Adam Cole's, I exploded off the couch. I was so excited. And, I'm just so glad he's back. I think he adds so much. He's so good on the mic, so freaking good. Were you excited? Were you watching?
Yeah, you know what? I was actually over at a friend's house who had several friends over. Our friend
You go to
Sharon.
Sharon's? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people over there. But the funny thing is, my wife was out of town that weekend. And so she was about to go to bed. So I'd stepped outside to give her a call
Oh.
before she went to bed. And so I'm like looking through the window at the TV and I see MJF walk out there and I see Daniel Garcia and I see Adam Cole. And I'm like, I bet that was cool.
Dang it. Gosh, that would be so disappointing. Oh, I'm so sorry that
I
happened to you.
honestly, I'd rather talk to her than watch wrestling any day. So it's fine.
Oh, look at that. Yeah,
But
you've only been married a few months. With if it were Mark, I'd be like, Mark, you ruined it. You ruined everything. But we have been married 10 years tomorrow. So
yes, congratulations. That is
thanks.
amazing. What would
Thanks.
you say is the key to marriage success, but for two wrestling fans who are married to each other?
Don't have children. Straight up, everyone I know is like they get along so well, and then they have kids and they hate each other.
Yeah,
And you'll have a lot more money to go to wrestling events.
that's true.
So
That's
that's
true.
my and you got to agree on the Hogan Andre feud. If you're on different sides of it, it'll never work.
Oh, that's true. Wait,
Yeah.
wait. Are you and Mark? You're on the same side, right?
We kind of are just tired of both of them, but yes, we have the same opinions regarding like Hulk Hogan and stuff. And he said he liked him more as a kid, and now as an adult, he's like, ugh.
Well, the good news is we are going to see the end of that on this show.
Yes, definitely. But before we get to that, Justin, we got to talk about how Brian Danielson is now a retired full-time wrestler. I think we'll see
Yes.
him wrestle again eventually.
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't like count on it because he is apparently pretty messed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what a career. Can you imagine like this guy who starts in ROH? Well, he didn't start there. Trained by Shawn Michaels at the Texas Wrestling Academy when that was still a thing. And here he is all these years later getting a big old send off and a goodbye. And yeah, how'd you feel when he lost the match? I know we had kind of predicted that's how it was going to go.
I knew it was going to go that way just because a legend like John Moxley, like if I were Brian Danielson, I would probably want to lose to John Moxley just because he's such a face of AEW. He's been there since day one. And, a lot of people didn't like the pay-per-view ending with,
Mm,
because it was kind of somber and stuff. But again, it's like, maybe you don't go home happy every time. I mean, remember when Roman beat Cody and everyone was just like, oh, and sat
yeah.
there like in silence? It was kind of like that. And in addition, people were mad at Adam Cole being a face. And I'm like, what do you mean he's a face? He just came back. He didn't even say anything. People were just cheering because they were excited to see him, like
Right.
whether he's a heel or not. But no, I liked how the match ended, and I knew Moxley had to win with whatever this is that he's doing,
Whatever it is.
Yeah. How did you feel about it?
Again, good for him. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter who you like, who you hate, the wrestling world moves on. You know, it just keeps going, and there will be somebody new to love, somebody new to hate, and more stories to get caught up on.
And I was fine with this. What I was not fine with was like a month or two ago when they had that video montage of all of Bryan Danielson's footage set to Time of Your Life by Green Day. I was like, why do y'all hate me? Like, this song will invoke sadness in anyone that graduated from like 2000 to 2010 because that was the graduation song where you're saying bye to all these people you're never going to see again. And so that was way more bad than this.
Right. No, I feel you.
Yeah. Well, Justin, let's hop in the time machine. Let's do it.
Here we go. I'm ready. You know what? That flight attendant did not offer me peanuts or a drink. That is just terrible service these days.
And we were going back to the 80s, so they actually had peanuts on planes back then.
Yeah. And you could like hit on flight attendants and it was like acceptable.
I know. I mean, what? All right, Justin. Well, today we are talking about WWF SummerSlam 1988. Now, this happened on August 29th of 1988. We're getting closer to me coming into the world. We're about 2 years out.
I cannot wait. The entire wrestling world will change.
It will. It will. So we were at Madison Square Garden in New York City with an attendance of 20,000. Now, here's a little weird twist. Our commentators are Gorilla Monsoon and Superstar Billy Graham. Where's Jesse? We'll get to that. Now, the number one song in the U.S. on this day, I've never heard this in my life, Justin. I'm going to tell you.
It'll play.
Here we go. It's Monkey by George Michael.
You know, I know quite a few George Michael tunes. I don't know Monkey.
I don't know Monkey at all. Like, was this a fluke? Like, was there just no music?
Some like radio DJ sat on the play button when he fell asleep at the board, and it just got like that much airplay. And like, golly, that guy played it a lot. It must be popular. Pretty
much. Because like, even if you Google the lyrics, it makes no sense. But it was the 80s. What, it's fine.
Yeah, it's true. Not much made sense back then. Yeah. Well, let's get into the background of this show. As you can probably assume, if you've been listening to the show, this is the first ever SummerSlam. And it's, of course, the final piece of what's known as the Big Four WWE pay-per-views to this day, along with the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and Survivor Series. Now, at this time, as we've mentioned before, Jim Crockett Promotions had already filed for bankruptcy, and the wheels were in motion to complete the sale of the company to Ted Turner to form what would be known as WCW. Here's something interesting about this show. In Ric Flair's autobiography called To Be the Man, he claims that this show was supposed to be his WWF debut, but he decided to stay with the NWA, and the main event that we see here was a replacement for his debut. Now, you know how it is. You talk to a wrestler, you never know if you're getting the truth. And especially if that wrestler is Ric Flair, you really don't know if you're getting the truth. But interesting to think about.
Very. Like, I didn't even read that before you did it. Hang on, I'm going to raise my mic up just a little bit because I feel like I'm hunching over to get in there.
Hunchback?
I am, but that is very interesting. Yeah, between Hulk and Flair, who knows what the truth was? Who knows? Right. But Justin, it's that time where you got to hit me with some wrestling.
Yeah, I got some of those. The average age of wrestlers on this pay-per-view, 33 years old. How about that? The youngest, it's a tie at 25 years old, the Big Boss Man and Davey Boy Smith.
Davey Boy Smith is only 25.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The oldest on the show, 45 years old, Ken Patera, which is hilarious because we see wrestlers around the age of 45 now, and we don't even think about it. Such a different time.
CM Punk's 45.
Is he? Yeah, that makes sense.
Randy Orton's 44. That weirds me out, but.
Well, the average age of all the wrestlers we've covered who are still living, 70 years old. And the average age of death for all the wrestlers we've covered who are, of course, dead, 61 years old, which is so young. We talked about that last week. And here's the number that counts, the one we're all aiming for. Out of the 172 wrestlers that we've covered on Wrestle Recap, 95 of them are still alive for a percentage of 55.23%. Still standing.
Still
Still
standing,
standing.
just like Sam
Yes.
Houston.
Now, usually on this part, we talk about who are we going to see for the last time on this show. Nobody. We're going to see every single one of these wrestlers in at least one match again on pay-per-view, so we don't have to do that. Same thing for championships. There's only 2 title matches on this show. So let's get into it.
Let's do it. Right off the bat, Justin, we are flying through the Grand Canyon? Is that what that was?
It was something with a bunch of big-ass rocks.
I know. So it's like, it's the perspective of us as a viewer, and we're like flying over a river in the middle of like this huge like red rock formation. So I guess that's the Grand Canyon.
Probably. Yeah.
But it reminded me of those simulators at the mall. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
It was like it was like a capsule. That's the best way to say it, in the middle of the mall. And you pay like $5 a person. And you got to go sit in this thing. And it was that was just the peak of technology. Was it not?
Yeah. And I remember like when he got really high tech, because there was one that could actually do like rotate 360 and take you upside down. And that was too much for me. I was like, nah, I'm not getting in that thing.
Dude, now, even if it wasn't moving, I would barf all over. My motion sickness is out of control. And like that ride at Disney World, it's like Star Tours. It's like not even in Galaxy's Edge. It's the old one. It's basically a simulator. And that one makes me throw up. Like I'm telling you.
Well, and as the technology gets better, like some of those 3D and 4D rides they have there, I'm like, oh, no.
And it's not, it's weird. It's not even like a physical motion sickness. It's with the eyes. It's like a mental, an eyeball motion sickness. It's hard to explain, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, I also love in this intro, they have the WWF logo in front of these red storm clouds with like lightning and thunder. And you hear Mean Gene Okerlund say, "The World Wrestling Federation, what the world is watching." I love that.
I like that so much more than then, now, forever. Because that just reminds me of the Hunger Games. Like, straight up Panem today, Panem forever. Like, it's just creepy to me. I don't know. But then we get a view of the New York City skyline, complete with the World Trade Center right up front. And lastly, we get a weird opening montage of like several wrestlers and like Miss Elizabeth. And like you can tell they got new technology and they're using it, but it's very, very late 80s. And I don't even know how you would describe it. It's almost like a stop motion, but not. It's like everything is really jumpy and jolty.
Yeah, it's like very choppy with like all these like neon colors and stuff. It's very odd. Mm-hmm. But it did have that music that WWF would use for a lot of pay-per-view themes. I can probably find it somewhere, but it made me feel like a kid again, because I knew every time I heard that music as they were pumping up a pay-per-view on Superstars or something, I was like, oh, that's going to be so awesome. And then I wouldn't order it because pay-per-views were expensive.
I was about to say, like, as a kid, did you get to order any of the pay-per-views? Because we were kind of poor.
Yeah, no, every now and then, yeah. I remember ordering WrestleMania 10 and I recorded it on a tape and I watched it like so much because I just thought it was so cool. But every now and then, yeah, I got to order one.
How much did they cost back then? I mean, they probably weren't $50 back then.
No, I want to say they were like maybe $30 or $40, something like that.
Dang, so inflation hasn't really hit pay-per-views that bad in
Not
the last
too
30
bad,
years.
No.
Yeah. Well, as I said, we are introduced to our commentators, Gorilla Monsoon and Billy Graham, because as we find out later, Ted DiBiase has paid Jesse Ventura to ref his match. And I kind of wish he would have paid Billy instead, but more on that later. Just more on that later. But let's get into the first match, Justin. Tell me about it.
Let's do the first match. There's 10 matches on this show, and they're all fairly short, to be quite honest. This first one, it is a tag team match between the British Bulldogs and the Fabulous Rougeaus. Now, the last time we saw all these guys was at WrestleMania 4. They're all still in their 20s here, except for Raymond Rougeau at the ripe age of 33. So he's the old man in this match.
Oh, now, God.
Right off the top, it's very clear that the Rougeaus had made their heel turn at some point since WrestleMania. They're waving these tiny little American flags, and Howard Finkel announces that they hail from Montreal, but they're soon to relocate to the United States, which draws boos from the crowd. guess they don't want them here. They're dirty Canadian
I was about to
selves.
say maybe Canadians weren't as nice back then.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Now, the Bulldogs enter with Matilda, the Bulldog, and just like she did with Bobby Heenan, she immediately chases the Rougeaus out of the ring. How do they do that? How did they train this dog to chase the bad guys away?
It, yeah, it's really, I question that because it'd be different, like if there's just one person, but it's always someone else. So I wonder if there's like a signal or like my dogs. I don't know how bulldogs are, but like Australian shepherds are very food driven and those dogs will do anything for food. And so
Mm.
maybe I don't know, but I will say the compliment I will give Billy Graham today is he is much nicer to Matilda than Jesse Ventura is. Yeah. But man, wow. Speaking of freaking Billy, I watch everything with subtitles, but the one thing I don't watch with subtitles is wrestling because I don't like them being in my way. But I could not understand a word Billy Graham was saying, and I had to turn them on. I was like, slow down, Billy. Like, were you having a hard time? I was like, is he even speaking English?
Yeah, no, he definitely was super fast, and he has that accent and everything. So at times it was like, what the hell did he just say? Fortunately, we had Gorilla there to kind of drive most of the
Translate.
conversation. Yeah, exactly. The Rougeaus also prove that they are 80s heels and have done a heel turn by hugging each other, which apparently will make a crowd boo in the 80s as well.
I've been watching Monster. Maybe it was like a Menendez brother thing. Like they were like,
Oh,
oh
maybe
no, we don't
so.
like brothers hugging and stuff.
Maybe so. They might catch the gay or something. I don't know what that was all about.
There is a lot of love on this show, and part of it I hate, but we will talk about him later. Oh my God, I was so mad. But anyway, I kept hearing random air horns in the crowd, and like at first I got PTSD from the stupid Tower of Doom, but for real,
Did
like
a trap door open up underneath you, but it's just attached with a crappy rope? Mm.
I know, but like, I feel like that's something that doesn't happen anymore. I feel like back then, like, didn't people just to like used to like sneak in air horns to like even like graduations and stuff and just do a little random and like no one does that anymore.
Yeah, I know. And then, like, for a while, it became the laser pointer. Remember,
Oh
they would
yeah.
sneak those in, and that was like really bad. I guess you could combine it though, because we talked about how people no longer roll up their programs to make a megaphone. They could roll it up and then fart into it, and it would still go "Fart" really loud.
Jeez. Well, just this week, Nick Jonas, there was a Jonas Brothers concert and someone pointed a laser at him and he freaked out and ran off stage because he thought it was like a gun, which I
I don't
get.
blame him.
Yeah,
Like,
that would freak me out. Yeah, so I
dude,
guess laser pointers
crazy.
are still a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a reminder here that these two teams, they had a lot of backstage heat with each other. And I'm not sure if it had spilled over completely quite yet, but there were all out fist fights between the Bulldogs and the Rougeaus backstage, including a roll of quarters, broken teeth. Like there were suspensions. It was bad.
How were not like at least one of them not fired, you know?
It's just the way it was. It was one of those boys will be boys type things.
So weird. Well, there were way too many times, Justin, that we had an illegal man in this tag match, and it happens a lot later, but I will climb up on my soapbox later when we get into
Okay.
another tag
Well,
match, just because we got a lot to talk about with this match.
yeah, well, and the thing is, it did become a problem because at one point during this match, the referee didn't see that the Rougeaus didn't tag, but he allowed them to switch out. But then later on, he didn't see that the Bulldogs did tag and he didn't allow it. So it was getting a little chaotic in there. Still, a fun match, but it did get a little bit like, what's happening here? What are the rules?
Exactly. But, I was just distracted. I was just wondering, how come only Davy Boy Smith gets a Union Jack on his butt and Dynamite Kid doesn't?
Because Dynamite didn't sit in red, white, and blue paint that day.
It was
And
it's
Davey
weird.
did.
They're the British Bulldogs, but it's
Yeah.
like, hey, we've got the British flag on his butt, and then, oh, you get blue.
Yeah. I don't know.
I will say there are more headbutts in this match than any other match I've ever seen. So was that a British Bulldogs thing or just coincidence?
I think it was more specifically a Dynamite Kid thing. And that's why there's a lot of comparisons between him to Chris Benoit because they worked similarly. And Benoit also used the headbutt a lot and suffered the consequences like Dynamite did. But in this match, yeah, he was even doing them from the top rope, from a standing position. There was a lot of them here.
Man, and it's crazy because I finished Mr. McMahon and they show, a lot of the hard bumps Chris Benoit took. And I was like, those look like a lot of the bumps I see all the time. Like, so I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, it's scary stuff.
Yeah, but I have a favorite gorilla phrase of the night. I have to bring up the quote. Okay, so like Davey Boy, he power slammed Jacques on the ropes, and Gorilla said quote, he inadvertently crotched him on the top rope. That was my favorite.
I also like when Rougeau's, they split Davy's legs in half, and Gorilla goes, make a wish.
I didn't catch that, but that is so funny. Oh, man. Well, this match was too long, Justin. I mean, I get why, but it was too long with nothing exciting happening. There were no like specific spots that were just really cool. It was like on a scale of 1 to 10, like there's the 0 and then there's the 10, which is like the apex of the match. And it kind of just stayed at a 5 the whole time. So I don't know why it was so long, but it's because it was a time limit draw.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that it ends in a time limit draw in 20 minutes. And I felt like, because we've seen this before, starting the pay-per-view off with your first match, having a non-finish, I don't care how hot the feud is, that's where you stop the feud, or at least give it a reason to have another match on the next pay-per-view at the very least. But just a time limit draw as your first match, I didn't like it.
Maybe that's what they're thinking, is that gives it the opportunity to have another match on the next pay-per-view. But it's kind of like it kind of makes you not care as much because it's just annoying.
Yeah,
I feel like we've had way too many lately.
I did think they had good chemistry. But the match layout was just weird. And then like that ending. Now post-match, the Rougeaus go for the handshake, but they pull a cheap shot and both nail the Bulldogs with a good punch before the Bulldogs run after him and chase him up the aisle. And Billy Graham says, finish it in the showers if you have to. And then Gorilla's like, and then they go to black.
I did catch that because I thought he was saying like, ha, not ha.
But commentators tell us that Brutus Beefcake is out and cannot wrestle tonight. And he was supposed to wrestle the Honky Tonk Man for the Intercontinental Belt. They show us a clip from a previous show. I think it was Superstars. Ron Bass used a loose boot spur to cut open Brutus's forehead. And then just when we're about to see the blood gushing out of Brutus's head, we get a giant X over the screen that reads censored, and we can't see the whole segment. So why even do it if we can't see it?
Was that like, is that something that was censored at the time, or did they? Well, yeah, it had to be because it was very 80s looking, the X and stuff. And so, yeah, like what was the point of that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was because at the time they were trying to market to kids and everything. They were doing big business with kids, with the action figures and everything. So I guess that's why. But the other thing I noticed on this show that I didn't even know until like yesterday, I was reading up on it, is, they keep showing these shots from Superstars, stuff that happened on Superstars previously. And I noticed that at the bottom, there was stuff blurred out every time. So apparently, the show used to be called Superstars of Wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. So apparently in like 92 or 93, some independent promoter trademarked the name Superstars of Wrestling and then wouldn't allow the WWF to use it. And apparently it's never been settled. So that's why to this day on Peacock and on the WWE network, anything that says Superstars of Wrestling, the of wrestling is blurred out.
That is wild. All this time later. Wow.
Yeah. Crazy. But we got another match to get to. Let's do it.
Yes, it is a singles match. Bad News Brown versus Ken Patera. So we saw Bad News Brown a while back, but he was only seen the Battle Royal, no bio. So let's talk about him. So he's one of those that was born around World War II, 1943. Wow. He died in 2007 at the age of 63, but on this pay-per-view, he was 44 and he looked pretty dang good. I would have never guessed he was 44.
Yeah, it's weird that he was just 1 year younger than Ken Patera here, because it looks like the gap is much wider than that.
Definitely. And the last pay-per-view we'll see him wrestle on is SummerSlam of 1990, so about 2 years from now. He did win a bronze medal for judo in the 1976 Olympics. So, I mean, that's pretty cool because it's kind of like Shelton Benjamin, he actually is trained in all of this like MMA stuff. So, I don't know why it's more intimidating when I know they can actually fight. But he briefly worked as the bodyguard for Aretha Franklin.
Well, wait. Time out. You can't say it like that. You got to say it like Vince McMahon said it at WrestleMania 3 when she sang America the Beautiful.
How do you say it, Justin?
Aretha Franklin!
Gross. It's so spitty. And I wonder, I'm like, is that where they met? Like, did he like bodyguard her and then he was like, hey, you want to be a wrestler? You have a good look. I don't know. He trained to be a wrestler under the legendary Antonio Inoki in the New Japan Pro Wrestling Dojo. Sorry, I'm laughing. I just got to ask, on Wrestle Dream, did you happen to catch the weird Tony Khan trying to make the Inoki chant happen and it didn't work? Did you see this awkwardness? Oh my God. I will send it to you later. It might have been on 0 Hour. Might have been, but he brought like his grandsons or something. And
I did see a picture with Inoki's grandsons.
Yes. Okay. So he tried to start this chant that like Inoki would do. And it was supposed to be like, flash the words on the screen as the audience is supposed to say it, but it didn't work. And so Tony, I will send it to you. It was the most awkward. I felt so bad for him. He had a good intent in his heart, Justin, but it was just bad.
Boy. Okay.
Yeah. That's why I started giggling when I read that.
I feel like when you send this to me, I want to have like secondhand embarrassment.
I did. Like, I was blushing from the couch. Like, I felt terrible because I was like, this is so uncomfortable. And like, the grandsons are just sitting there looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. Probably because it's freaking awkward. But Ken Patera.
Didn't you close the forbidden door back in June? Come on.
I can't wait to send that to you. I need you to like film your reaction and we can put it on Twitter because you're going to be like, what the hell? So Ken Patera, he last wrestled on WrestleMania 4, and he is, like we said, 45 on this here pay-per-view. So they're about the same age. So right off, I always say right off the bat, in the beginning, Bad News Brown, I want to assume he said this to a kid because it makes it even funnier. But like right before he got in the ring, he said, "Sit down, you little creep." It made me laugh.
Nobody really gets called a creep anymore. They get called creepy
or creeper.
Right, but never a creep. So we should bring that one back.
Let's do it.
We should bring that back and heavens to Betsy.
Heavens to Betsy. You got to have like I feel like you have to use our grandpa's accent when you say that. Heavens to Betsy. Okay, so one question. Why is Ken Patera just Richard Simmons? Like, is that what he was going for?
I feel like, because remember we talked about when he first popped up that he had actually gone to prison for that whole thing at that McDonald's or whatever where he threw a rock through. I think when he went in, that look was popular, and when he came out, nobody told him that it wasn't anymore.
Well, he looked just like him. Or does he turn into like Doink? Because he had like that patriotic kind of singlet and he has this afro. Like, he just needs some makeup and green hairspray and he's Doink.
Don't we all? Yeah. He also had some weird, like, patriotic, inspirational entrance music that I don't think was dubbed here. I don't know what that was.
I just assumed it was dubbed because it was so weird.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay, well, got confirmation. It is an official Gorillaism because he said he planted an elbow right in the kisser. Because, I had talked about that before. I was like, is this a Gorillaism? Oh, yeah. He said kisser like 10 times on this show.
That's another entry into our Gorilla dictionary that we will be producing at some point. But, I was watching this match. Ken Patera is lucky that he's known as a strong man. That's like what he got famous for. Otherwise, him putting a bear hug on a guy several inches, almost a foot taller than him, might have been the most ridiculous thing we saw tonight.
Yeah, and the fact that he's like a judo champion, and that's like, you get out of holds in judo. That's like all judo is. So it's like, yeah, that was goofy. But the audience looked really, really bored. Do you think so? I thought so.
Yeah, there wasn't much sense to this one. It is interesting, though, thinking about this, that we're getting two guys who made a name for themselves in the Olympics. They're facing each other, but they were like in the Olympics for completely different sports. So that's kind of interesting.
So I'm guessing that's why the match happened because I was questioning, like, I was like, was there something going on storyline? Like, why is this on this pay-per-view?
Yeah, I don't know, unless it was just to promote Bad News Brown as even more of a big bad dude. I don't know.
Well, the ghetto blaster is Bad News Brown's signature move. And I was like, what? Because like anything with blaster just makes me think of a fart. And so I was like, maybe like he should like twerk, 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 fart at your opponent. And that's the ghetto blaster, man. I don't know.
God.
I don't know. But Bad News Brown, he won that match in just 6 minutes and 33 seconds. I liked all these shorter matches because my attention span just not that great these days. And
Yeah, I feel you.
yeah.
I feel you.
So backstage, Mean Gene, Randy Savage, Elizabeth, and Hulk Hogan. Oh, he's drinking the pickle juice thing again, y'all. It's distracting me every time he does it. They're all backstage, and I got really excited because I thought Elizabeth was in like a Belle Beauty and the Beast dress, but then I realized it's just yellow to match Hogan's attire.
Right.
But production has definitely discovered the green screen. And they used it for this segment. And I don't even know what it had a word across the back. Was it just SummerSlam? Like, I didn't even know what it said.
I think it's like mega powers for this one or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, everyone has that glowing hue around them, so you know it's a green screen. But as I said before, I had the subtitles on because I couldn't understand Billy Graham. So I actually understood Randy Savage for the first time.
Was he explaining how he was already sweaty and he had literally just stood in one place and talked?
Well, I was wondering, I was like, is that like oil or is that sweat? But it's probably because he strains himself so hard when he's talking.
I know
so
it's like he's pushing so hard to talk. Like he's trying to do a promo through a poop.
Yes, and Ultimate Warrior's the same way. I think I commented on that a little further down, but Hulk says that they are the best tag team in the world. Randy and Hulk both agree that Elizabeth is their secret weapon. And I'm like, man, if Elizabeth is a weapon, what could Susan do?
I'll wave at him.
I mean, that's pretty much what Elizabeth does. So I'm excited to see the secret weapon at this point. I was like, oh man, like I was hoping she'd have this whole like bad girl reveal and she was gonna like turn not even heel, but like kind of like Sandy at the end of Grease. That's what I was expecting, but it didn't happen. But
oh well.
Well, take me to the next singles match, Justin.
Let's do it. It is the Junkyard Dog versus Ravishing Rick Rude. And at first I was like, oh, okay, fine. But this one ended up kind of fun. So let's talk about both these guys we saw in WrestleMania 4. Junkyard Dog here, 35 years old. Rick Rude, 29 years old. Now, just to kind of give you some history on this match, Rick Rude was actually in a feud with Jake Roberts at the time. The way that happened, Rude had this thing where he would win a match and then he'd invite a woman from the crowd to get in the ring and kiss him. Ew. Well, one woman refused, and it was Jake Roberts' real life wife, Cheryl. And so Rude took it even further, wearing tights that had Cheryl's face airbrushed onto them. And then eventually Jake rushed the ring and then ripped the tights off of Rude. Now on TV, we were led to believe that Rick was naked when this happened, but he's actually wearing a flesh-colored thong in front of the crowd there.
Ew, I don't like thongs, especially on dudes.
Yeah, well, I'll make note of that next time that I decide to go streaking through a family Christmas.
Well, Rick Rude's super sultry music, it gets me every time. So did you say that was or was not his actual music?
No, it was not. He had like similar music, but this song, it makes me think of like a 1920s stripper, like has like a cigarette in one of those cigarette holders and calls everybody baby cakes.
Yeah. What's that song that
song literally called The Stripper.
Okay, I thought so. That's what it reminds me of. Yeah. But Rick comes out, he gets on the mic, which that's something we haven't really seen yet, where he just comes out and gets on the mic before a match. Kind of interesting. He was in a robe and he takes it off to reveal that the Junkyard Dog is painted on his tights, like JYD's like big old face right on his crotch. So like Does he just, is that his thing? Like he just paints like opponents or like people on his crotch now? Or I mean his tights, on his tights.
I was just hoping Junkyard Dog didn't sneeze because
Oh.
that'd be kind of
Oh.
gross. Kind of
You
gross.
nasty.
I know. Well, while Rick was still doing his whole thing, they show this woman in the crowd who has a huge smile on her face, and she brings up a camera to take a photo, and it has one of those huge blocks of flash cubes on the top of them, like 10 flash cubes. That's some nostalgia. I hadn't even thought about those things in a long time, and I kind of miss seeing camera flashes on wrestling shows when you see a guy go up to the top rope and in midair, you just see flash all over the crowd. I miss that.
I miss that too. And like, I think the show we went to in like Lubbock, it was a WWF show. I remember I had a disposable camera and like I took all these pictures with the flash and I'd get them back and it looks terrible. You can't see a dang thing. But yeah, flash cubes were like a little bit before my time, but I remember the disposable cameras, you could hit it like on the base of your palm and it would flash.
Yeah. And then people would like, they would take like a wire or a battery or something like that and like just hold the flash cube and it would go off in their fingers. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. I remember seeing that woman because before she was going to take a picture, Mark was like, all right, let's show the only attractive female in the crowd. Cool. Yeah. She's just like smiling. Yeah, I do miss all the camera flashes. It's kind of like the signs, like how everyone used to have a sign.
Right. But have you noticed here lately, like WWE is like encouraging signs again? Like I want to say it was Triple H or somebody was saying like, come on in, bring your signs, show your support. And it was like, okay, like he remembers when there was a lot of signs out there in front of him. Maybe they're trying to bring that back.
Yeah, and I know if you're at I haven't been to, well, no, I have been to WWE pay-per-views and shows, but I guess they're just a little more relaxed at AEW. And on the commercial breaks, Justin Roberts looks around and reads all the signs, especially like the funny ones, or if it's your birthday or whatever. But someone had an MJF goes to Diddy parties sign the other day. That was pretty great. Well, right in the beginning of the match, Gorilla informs us that Rick Rude did a Pearl Harbor job on JYD right before the bell rang. But JYD, he completely reverses it. He reverses it, rolled Rick Rude right out of the ring and into the arms of Bobby Heenan. We got more hugging.
I'm telling you, what is it with the hugging? What is it? But on commentary, Billy Graham comments on Bobby Heenan's quote, pale face. Billy Graham is talking about, that's easy for you to say, dude. You can't sit on a leather couch without blending in. Like, why are you making fun of these people who didn't obviously try to give themselves skin cancer?
Agreed. Like Bobby Heenan, he is not that. He looks like a normal white dude. Like I was like, you, sir, are toasted, Mr. Billy Graham. At this point, like you put the toaster on 10, the top level, and put yourself in there. Well, Rick is on the top rope and he pulls off his Junkyard Dog tights to reveal he is wearing the Cheryl tights underneath. And like Jake Roberts, man, he appears immediately. I was like, was he under the ring? And he attacks him and he sends Rick over the ropes via 360. That was the best part of the whole match.
Yeah. But when Rick was up there on the top rope and he first started pulling his tights down, I was like, oh, wait, what are we doing? I thought he was about to change his name to Rick Pood.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Why am I 5? Why are we 5, Justin? Oh, we love poo and fart jokes. It's just a thing. Well, the crowd goes freaking nuts for Jake Roberts. That's the loudest they had been all night up to that point. They just went crazy. And, Ravishing Rick Rude, he wins via DQ in 6 minutes and 18 seconds. Sorry, you were supposed to read that. I'm sorry, but that's okay. But yeah, he wins it via DQ because Jake Roberts came in. And so JYD and Jake Roberts are just standing there in the ring at the end. And I was like waiting for Junkyard to because they are talking and smiling and it's all fine. I was just waiting for JYD to punch him out, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like one of those things where JYD was like kind of disappointed at first and Jake was apologizing for it. And I had to. And I felt the same way. I was like, come on, man, take some action here, Junkyard Dog. But we just moved on.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. Backstage, Mean Gene is with the Honky Tonk Man and Jimmy Hart. They're in front of the blue screen again. It's got a big Honky Tonk Man logo back there. Now, to answer your question from WrestleMania, it looks like Jimmy Hart really did get his hair cut in that match because his hair is much shorter here. Did you notice that?
I did, yeah. And I had that
Yeah.
thought too. I was like, he did cut it.
Yeah. So Honky Tonk Man says he knew Brutus Beefcake wouldn't show up tonight, but he's a humanitarian, so he'll take on anyone. I'm not sure if that's what humanitarian means, but he's from Memphis. We'll forgive him. Gene says he knows who Honky's mystery opponent is, but Honky doesn't want to know. He wants it to be a surprise. He wants everybody to be surprised. And with that, we go on to the next match.
Yes, it is a tag team match again, which I'm starting to get annoyed by the tag team matches in this era. Don't know why, but it's the Bolsheviks versus the Powers of Pain. Now, we've seen all of these guys. We saw Boris Zukov and his partner Nikolai Volkov both on WrestleMania 4. However, I never realized there was such an age difference because on this pay-per-view, Boris is 29 and Nikolai is 40. So I didn't realize, I kind of thought they were the same age, honestly.
Yeah.
But as for the Powers of Pain, we've got the Barbarian, who this is his first WWF pay-per-view because he last wrestled on the Bunkhouse Stampede in '88. So he made a real quick transition. Yeah, and he was only 29. I thought he was a lot older. But we've also got the Warlord, who he was also in that Bunkhouse Stampede and came over, and he was 26 during this match.
Which is weird because to me, he doesn't look 26. He looks older than that too,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you know what? This is the third match of the night where I noted that the heels were already in the ring and then the baby faces got a full entrance. Kind of a weird thing that I guess they were experimenting with at the time.
Yeah, I'm still not used to this whole only one of them gets an entrance.
Right.
I especially I don't even remember which pay-per-view it was at this point. The one where they had to kill a lot of time. I'm like, why don't you? I mean, obviously you're not strapped for time. Give them their entrances, man. And so I don't know. I'm ready for that to become normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Slick called the audience illiterate on the mic before the match. It was kind of funny. He was just like, you're illiterate.
but he said that they were illiterate for not being on their feet for the Russian national anthem. What were they supposed to read that would make them literate?
Maybe the lyrics are in the program, Justin.
That
it's
would
like
be
when
hilarious.
You go to church or a funeral.
You see all these New Yorkers just looking at their program trying to read Russian.
Man, I ordered some art from Russia using the gift card you gave me for my birthday. And the guy, the artist, I would communicate with him. And I think he spoke English. I don't think it was a translation. But if you looked at the tracking, it was all it was not like the English alphabet. And so I would have to translate it. And so I wonder if that Soviet one would have been in that weird non-American alphabet because that was impossible to read.
You got all these New Yorkers standing there. Hey, Joey, take a look at this. They put this in hieroglyphics. I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
It's pretty much what it looked like. It was weird because it was through some shipping company in Russia. So, but okay, these Powers of Pain, are they not the Road Warriors? Are they not? Because I'm pretty sure those are exact same people.
That's it. Everybody says the Demolition were Vince's answer to the Road Warriors, but the Powers of Pain, at least here, are clones of the Road Warriors.
Exactly. Even the hair, those are the Road Warriors. And I even was like, wait a minute. So did Animal and Hawk, did they change their name? I was trying to rationalize it because I was so confused.
Yeah, no, it is so super close. But we should also point out that the Powers of Pain are managed by a mysterious man in a hooded robe named the Baron. Well, that's Baron von Raschke, who we covered on a previous NWA episode.
I assumed because it kind of looked like him. I mean, from what we could see of his face, but with the Baron, I was like, wait, is that Baron von Raschke? But okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, soapbox time. Let me get up on here.
I'm gonna just chug a little bit more pickle juice and cranberry juice.
That's gonna make you have to poop. Just FYI.
It's going to make me have to it's probably going to make my heart explode, quite honestly, but it's all right.
Probably. I mean, at least you won't get a bladder infection. That's good. Or a UTI.
No, but I'm pregnant, so it might affect my baby.
Right. Okay. Well, soapbox time. the refs need harsher punishment for wrestlers who enter into tag matches illegally. Okay, so like in the previous match, like one of the Rougeaus, he did it like 4 times where he just got in and did something. And then it keeps happening here too. And every time the ref just says like, oh no, get back over there. And they just get out and then they do it again 2 minutes later. And I'm like, if they wanted to prevent this, like boot them from the match. Like, it's annoying to keep watching the ref over and over say, hey, don't do that. And then they just keep doing it because it makes it kind of confusing. Like, I know it's not rocket science. I know it shouldn't matter, but to me, it matters.
Well, yeah, because, well, and that's like, it's twofold. It's like, you don't want your referees to look stupid because that does nobody any good. And if there's no consequences for the breaking the rules, then there might as well be no more rules. And if there are no rules, why should we care? You're taking away some of the ways for this match to end.
It's kind of like those people with kids who will be like, hey, don't do that. But there's never a consequence. So the kid keeps doing it. And it's like, no, like there's no consequence. So why wouldn't he keep doing it? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's enough of my soapbox time. I'm annoyed with the refs not enforcing the rules on, because we get a lot of tag matches during this era. And it's just kind of like, it's a free for all.
No, I get it. To be honest, I was really distracted during this match by the fact that Boris Zukov looks like the offspring of Luke Gallows and John Silver.
Oh,
So
yeah.
That would just weird me out.
That's really funny. Well, you know what this should have been called, Justin? Like, it didn't have a title. It wasn't the whatever match. This should have been called the big ass head match, because even Gorilla said one of them had like a head like a basketball. They've all got huge heads. Like, where's JD McDonough? Like, all of their heads are like, and so they should have just like bonked heads the whole time.
From outside the ring, actually.
Yes.
They just lean their neck in and just bang, bang, bang.
Fantastic.
Yeah. You know what? It's so weird, though, to see the Warlord and the Barbarian as good guys here, because they were bad guys when we last saw them in the NWA, and they were bad guys when I first became a fan as a kid. So to see the crowd cheering them here is like, wait, what? What? I didn't know about this. So that was kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. Also fun to think that the Barbarian is in the ring and superstar Billy Graham is on commentary. And we saw them face each other on a previous NWA pay-per-view. Remember, they started with the arm wrestling match and then went into a full match.
That's right. And like, I don't know why I paint Billy Graham as so much older in my head.
Right.
Yeah, well, it ends with a double flying tackle from the Powers of Pain, a scoop slam, and a power bomb, and Boris is done. Yeah, the Powers of Pain win the match in just 5 minutes and 27 seconds.
Yeah, it was filler. I guess they're wanting to get Powers of Pain on a bigger stage to show their dominance or whatever. It's fine.
They want to pretend they're the Road Warriors is what they want to do.
That too. Yes.
All right, man. Now is the time that I say, what the hell?
Oh boy.
Brother Love makes his first appearance on a pay-per-view. And I was like, man, he looks familiar. Then it hit me very quickly that it's Bruce Pritchard. And Brother Love might just be the most obnoxious thing we've seen so far. And he had this, okay, here's a question. Like, you're laughing. I hate this guy. So he had this lovey-dovey like entrance music that plays during the entirety of the segment. Like, that wasn't necessary, but like, was that dubbed and they just never cut it off? Like, what is going on with that?
That was not dubbed. That music was actually played throughout all of his interview segments on TV, on pay-per-view and everything. Now, the gimmick for people who haven't seen it, it's Bruce Pritchard. He's in a completely white suit. He has a white microphone and his face is painted all red. He's Brother Love, and his catchphrase, of course, is, I love you. So he's based on those televangelists who were all over TV back then. And with Bruce being from Houston, he definitely saw a ton of those things. So when you think about it in that light, the music sounds just like what you'd hear on one of those televangelist shows. Maybe not the Farting Preacher one.
Oh my God, I love the Farting Preacher. Is that still a thing?
We've already talked that we're into fart and poop humor. And the Farting Preacher, if you haven't seen the Farting Preacher, go on your YouTube machine, go on your TikTok machine, look up Farting Preacher. You'll die laughing.
I die every time, especially because they change up the farts to like what his face is doing. So y'all gotta watch that. Oh man. So I didn't know if his face was actually painted. I couldn't tell if that was just the lights or if he was like pink or red. Like
Yeah, no,
I
he's
couldn't tell.
red.
Oh gosh. Well, he brings out Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who came out to just say two things. One, ho.
Of course.
Two, he tells Brother Love that he is a phony. A phony,
Oh,
Justin. And
those
Jim,
are fighting words in the 80s.
I know. And Jim, oh my gosh, he was so funny throughout this whole exchange because he's so animated with his faces, like almost cartoony. Like he's sticking out his tongue, like, I'm thinking, like, very funny.
Yeah, and he's already cross-eyed as it is, which makes it even better. And like at one point, Brother Love says, Brother Dugan, look around. And Jim does a full 360 in place. He's such a goofball.
Very good stuff. And it's funny because when you said that, I love you. And when he said that, I like got taken back in the time machine to my childhood because I remember we said that all around the house, but I always just got it from you and I had no idea where you got it from. So there we go. But yeah, very good stuff from Jim Duggan. And anyway, he tells Brother Love that he is going to take his 2x4 and shove it where the sun don't shine.
Alaska.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Different. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, he gives him until the count of 5 to leave, but he doesn't leave. So Jim knocks him out of the ring and Brother Love runs to the back. Now, here's my question. Did Brother Love actually wrestle or was he like a manager? Like, what was he? Because I hate him.
No, he did not wrestle. We will see him wrestle later on in like a couple of battle royals. Just like retro battle royals. But no, he was primarily an interviewer and he was a manager of some wrestlers as well.
And maybe I just didn't like it because it's Bruce Pritchard and he's like a Vince Stan. I don't know. But no, I think I would have thought it was annoying even if he was a great guy. Like,
well, and you know, it was meant to be. And at this time, yeah, he was starting to work around Vince at his side at this time as well. So it all kind of mixes and mashes in.
well, while I'm trying to distract myself during this segment, I did notice. So they have these giant, like hanging, floating SummerSlam signs in the arena, and they're blue rectangles with like gold block letters that read like SummerSlam 88. And at least 3 times I thought they were Blockbuster signs.
No.
And it made me sad when it wasn't.
Oh man, those are special days of making sure that you returned your tapes in time. So
and you rewound it. You had to rewind it.
Had to rewind it, of course. What kind of an idiot doesn't rewind their tapes? Come on.
Dude, my neighborhood childhood best friend, they had a little device and it was just a rewinder. It wasn't a VCR, it was just a rewinder. I was like, what was the point of that?
So our grandparents had that as well for a little while. And the whole reason for it was that there was this rumor out there that rewinding tapes in your VCR would screw up your VCR. It was bad for it. So they created this whole other thing just to rewind VHS tapes. The whole thing was probably bullshit, but I mean, people bought them clearly.
Clearly. Wow. I'm like, what am I buying today that's like super clearly bullshit, but I don't see it yet.
Probably a DVD rewinder.
Nah, that's funny. Who does DVDs now?
Yeah, that's true. Honky Tonk Man comes down to the ring, but the question everybody's asking, who is he facing? So he gets in the ring and Howard Finkel says, and his opponent. And then nothing. And we get crowd shots. And everybody's looking around going, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Well, then Honky takes the mic and says, give me somebody out here. I don't care who it is. Still nothing. Still nothing. Everybody's wondering, in suspense. And then the music hits. Dun, 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 dun. It's the Ultimate freaking Warrior. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, baby. So we got a singles match for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. The Honky Tonk Man, who is our champion, versus the Ultimate Warrior. Now, this is the 5th time we've seen the Intercontinental Championship defended on WWF pay-per-view. Last time was on WrestleMania 4, and we saw both of these guys last on WrestleMania 4. In this match, Honky Tonk Man, 35 years old, Ultimate Warrior, just 29 years old. Now, heading into this event, Honky Tonk Man was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in WWF history. That record would stand until earlier this year when it was broken by Gunther. And as we said, Honky Tonk Man's original opponent, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, but now we got the freaking Ultimate Warrior.
Yes, well, I think about this and I'm like, okay, this is the first time we got a surprise entrance cued by music. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like the Ultimate Warrior music hit and the crowd exploded. And we haven't seen that on a show before.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to the power of what a good theme song can do for a wrestler. And those are, particularly in WWE right now, hard to come by.
Boy.
And for years and years, you had Jimmy Hart writing the themes. Then you had Jim Johnston. Then you had CFOs. And now this new group that they had that I guess sucks.
Yeah.
But it is so important. And this is a prime example of it. Now, if you're thinking, oh man, this match must be a huge battle between these two, let me break it down for you. Warrior runs into the ring. He hits Honky with 3 punches. Boom, boom, boom. The bell rings to start the match. Warrior hits a body slam, a shoulder tackle, a clothesline, a splash. 1, 2, 3. We got a brand new Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, in just 31 seconds.
Woo! I love a good squash.
Yeah. And you know what? Still to this day, anytime that I hear Howard Finkel announce a title change by saying, new, I get chills. It's just one of those things from my childhood.
It's one of those things, Justin. I agree. But no, I thought it was really cool of Honky Tonk to agree to that. Because he's just putting over this younger guy, and like to be squashed when you're obviously a longtime title holder, like, I don't know. I know you don't like him, but Honky's my boy.
You just like his moves. You like his.
I think it's weird. I like the Honky Tonk Man, but I hate Brother Love. Like they're like pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, right. Well, we get that weird choppy animated intro again that we got from the beginning, and it's weird that they just dropped it in the middle here. I'm not sure what was up with that. Maybe on an uncut version of the show, we might have seen why they did that. But high above the ring on commentary, Bobby Heenan interrupts Gorilla and Billy. He has an exclusive report on what both teams in the main event are doing right now. He says the $1 Million Man has 4 suitcases full of cash and he's counting it out. Meanwhile, Hogan and Savage are in their locker room with a dresser against the door so nobody can get in. And he's finally interrupted by Gorilla and the entrance music starting for the next match.
Yes, the next match is just a singles match. Again, not a title match, with Dino Bravo and Don Muraco. Now, both of these guys wrestled last on WrestleMania 4. And these guys are also kind of close to the same age. So Dino Bravo is 40 and Don Muraco is 38 during this match.
Yeah, that's right. And Don Muraco comes down the aisle. And let me tell you right now, nothing says tough guy like a tie-dye t-shirt. Nothing.
Maybe his daughter made it for him or something. He's like FDR. My baby daughter made me this t-shirt.
Of course, a guy that big, he can kind of wear whatever he wants. Like, who's really going to tell him differently?
That's so true. So true.
Yeah. But Dino enters with Frenchie Martin, who carries a sign saying that USA is not okay.
I thought that was a weird sign, but Don Muraco, he punches out Frenchie later. Thank God, because Frenchie gets on my nerves. Yeah, he's like Pepe Le Pew, only not as cute as a little skunk.
Now, this is our first taste of Bobby Heenan on commentary, and it makes me so just wonderfully happy, especially when he interacts with Gorilla Monsoon. And I cannot wait until that commentary team is a regular thing on these pay-per-views.
Yeah, so this is the point in the podcast where I really question why Billy wasn't picked to be paid off by the ref to do that match, because he's terrible on commentary. Like, he says really awkward things, and like I realized he took the humor out of commentary, because they used to say things that would make me laugh, and it's like Gorilla would try, but Billy wouldn't take the bait, or like, I don't know. But part of me wondered, I was like, was Bobby Heenan not even like planned to do it, but they were like, go save Gorilla, go out there.
it could be. And he and Gorilla had been working together on the weekly TV shows quite a bit, but you know, just hearing them on a pay-per-view here. And like you said about the humor and Gorilla, like setting him up, they would set each other up. He and Bobby would. And so like you can even hear a little bit of that here, and it's so much fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, Dino Bravo's hair, I don't know if I was hungry, but his hair was making me want some macaroni.
Oh, well, now you have
Right?
me wanting macaroni.
It's like all curly
So
and blonde, but looks like it's stuck in one clump. And that's the best part of the macaroni when there's
I
like a
know when
clump
it's
of
like
it.
stuck together.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like baked together and it's so freaking good. Oh my God,
Where
I need macaroni.
where are you at on macaroni salad?
You know, Justin, I'm not a fan because it's mayonnaisey.
Mm, yeah.
Our sister says mayonnaise, not mayonnaise. So that's why I said mayonnaisey. I know how to say it. But yeah, because there's that new Hawaiian Bros, and Mark gets it all the time, and they have macaroni salad. And he's always like, "You want some macaroni?" And I'm like, "That's not macaroni. That's macaroni salad."
You know what? I hate mayonnaise too,
Uh-huh.
but I like a good macaroni salad. That Hawaiian Bros place, I eat the ever loving hell out of that macaroni salad.
Really? Even though it's kind of mayonnaisey?
Yeah.
Wow. I
I
mean,
don't know what it is, but if you
it's
put
not.
mayonnaise on my burger or something like that, I'm like, ugh, no,
My friend Jared, his burger order is nothing on it but mayonnaise. Isn't that weird?
dude, he needs to be deported.
I know. And like he gets mad if they put cheese on it. I'm like, you think
After
cheese
we
is
get
gross?
done, after we get done with this election, whoever's president needs to pass a bill. That's not allowed. That's it. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, yeah, macaroni salad, back to that. I've only tried one noodle at a time. I don't know how you do a whole bite.
I think, at least in the case of Hawaiian Bros, it goes so well with the rest of the food that it's like, yeah.
Mm, I
Oh,
guess. Well, this
oh.
also was a very quick match. Dino Bravo won in 5 minutes and 28 seconds. He suplexes Morocco and pins him. And it was kind of a weird, super quick ending. Like it kind of came out of nowhere. And even the crowd seemed kind of confused.
Yeah. And at the same time, it was like, I was questioning it myself. And I was like, wait, why do I care how it ended? Like, I didn't care about the match in the first place. Like, okay, it's over.
Yeah, and there were a lot of matches on this show that I was thinking if I were like, did I have to watch TV every week back then to understand why this match is here? Because it seemed a lot of them seemed like, okay, I could have seen this on TV. I don't need it on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, it almost seemed like, in a way, some of these early pay-per-views were also just like a showcase for the guys they wanted you to see, you
That makes a
know?
lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, backstage, we get our first appearance from Sean Mooney, who would be a big part of the WWF programming for years to come. And Jesse finally admits his motive on TV for being the ref in the big match. Ted DiBiase paid him, and he said that he is no fool and took the money to do it. I don't blame him. I'd do it too.
Why not? Who cares? Hulk Hogan's annoying.
He is. Well, take me into the next match, brother.
All right, we got our our second title match of the night. I'm sorry. It is a tag team match. Hey, guess what? I just gleeked all over my computer again.
Stop leaking during our podcast.
It's because I'm drinking this pickle juice and this cranberry juice, and it's shooting all sorts of god floods all over my
It's
stuff.
a warning to your body's warning you.
I know, it's like rejecting it now. It's like, no.
It's leaking out. Gross.
Yeah, I know. All right. Tag team match for the WWF World Tag Team Championship. Our champions, Demolition versus the Hart Foundation. Now, this is the fourth time that we've seen this title defended on pay-per-view. Last time was at WrestleMania 4, and we saw all four of these guys last wrestle on WrestleMania 4. The youngest of them, Smash of Demolition, 28. The oldest of them, Axe of Demolition, at the age of 40. Now, just a few weeks before this event, the Hart Foundation had turned babyface by turning on their manager, Jimmy Hart. So I'm not so sure how much the crowd knew about that at the time, because when they announced the Hart Foundation, it wasn't like a huge cheer. It was like, yay, we know them.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really weird that you turn on him when he has the same last name, but you know.
Right. But on the night of this event, I looked it up. Jim Neidhart's daughter, current WWE superstar Natalya, was 6 years old when this event happened.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Which also made me realize I'm the same age as Natalya.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Very strange. Yeah.
Well, my jaw dropped when you said that Smash was 28 on this show.
Yeah, he didn't look it.
No.
He didn't look it at all. But as Demolition make their entrance, they not only have their usual manager, Mr. Fuji, with them, they also have Jimmy Hart, who used to manage the Hart Foundation. Now, Gorilla makes a good point here. He says that nobody knows a team's faults like their manager, and he's sure that Jimmy Hart has spilled his guts to Mr. Fuji and Demolition. I like explaining that logic.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of what we've talked about several times about, like we liked when managers were more involved and like more, using skill and whatnot rather than get him. But
Yeah.
if that's the case, dude, Mr. Fuji should recognize the faults in Demolition's makeup because they look like bad Kiss impersonators, like on freaking like Fremont in Vegas. Like that's what they look like. Like I don't remember which one it is. Is it Smash that has like the diamonds, or is that Axe? Yeah, it's Smash. And so I was like, Mr. Fuji, you need to see the faults in their makeup because they look like it's almost like weird, almost like drag style Kiss. I don't know. I don't like it.
Wasn't there like Kiss impersonators on Fremont at one point? They were like naked Kiss or something like that. And they wore like G-strings or something. Or am I making that up?
So there was also Little People Kiss.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I don't know.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
I don't know, Justin. I think Demolition's silly. I just think it's silly.
Well, that's just fine. Now, the teams are in opposite corners from where they were standing in the first tag team match of the night. So I don't know if this was an error that like production put the tag ropes in the wrong corners or what, but it was weird to see that kind of shift around. What would that be? 90 degrees? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. 90 degrees.
Yeah, that is weird. And I'm almost like, was one of them like something broken because something else happens later on in a match that I'm like, what was the point of that? And it's almost just like a weird shifting around of like talent to like one different side of the ring. It's just kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I will say this, and I'm not breaking any ground here. A lot of people have said it for years. Demolition needs to be in the WWE Hall of Fame before it's too late because Axe is getting up there, and Crush, who we will see join as a member later, he's already been dead now for many years. So it's like, can we make this happen, please?
Yeah, they do. It's kind of like Sid Vicious. Like, come on.
Right.
And I understand their contributions and I fully agree they should be in there, but I just think they silly AF. I just do. I'm sorry.
Fine.
I like them as wrestlers. I just think the gimmick, like, I don't know. I never have these passionate opinions on wrestling today about like certain wrestlers. Well, Nia Jax a little bit, but I am so passionate about all these people from the 80s. It's weird.
Well, you know what? I don't know how he did it. And everybody listening who's seen a Bret Hart match knows what I'm talking about. He would always get whipped into the turnbuckles and like hit them so hard. And like it would make this sound that sounded like the turnbuckle actually snapped. And he did it so often. And it was just so masterful.
Yeah, I noticed this and I thought it looked so painful. And I questioned, I was like, how does he do that without it not like bruising the hell at very minimum out of his shoulder? But,
right.
I really felt like he got his butt kicked for most of the match.
Yeah, Bret took a lot of punishment in this one.
Yeah, but did you notice that the crowd like really came alive anytime Bret was in control of the match?
That's interesting, isn't it? Considering like where he and Jim Neidhart's singles careers would go. It's almost like they saw something ahead of time or thought he was really cool, or all of a sudden it was okay to cheer him because he was a good guy now.
Yeah. And like maybe, and no hate to Jim Neidhart, I almost wonder if it's because Bret Hart was attractive and like Jim wasn't unattractive. It was just like Bret was like pretty. And so right. I don't know, but the air horns are back for this match, Justin.
Oh, not that kind of air horn. That's like DJ Khaled. There you go.
I don't know. They did have several different. It's like 3 or 4 people had it and they all had different tones and they were battling. Okay, I've got a question about the match. Maybe it happened real quick. So if you don't know the answer, it's fine. At one point, it looked like Jim Neidhart like started to run to the back, but then he came back to the ring. Why was that? Like, did I miss something?
You know what? You did, but it's okay because I almost did too. He was chasing Jimmy Hart to the back.
Oh, I didn't even see Jimmy Hart.
Well, nobody did. Like they just barely caught it. So it was easy to miss.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, why is he leaving Brett by himself? Like, what tag team member would do that? And then he was
Right. Yeah.
gone.
No, by the end of the match, Smash's face paint is almost completely gone. Like you can pretty much just see his face. And I really wonder how many people were watching either live or on TV. How many of them recognized him as the former Crusher Khrushchev? Was it a lot or was it like nobody?
No, I don't know. I mean, I didn't recognize Peggy Sue as being Sensational Sherry, so I really can't blame them. And
True.
also, I get all the Russians confused. So
That's
I
true
probably
too.
wouldn't have known at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and plus when he was a Russian, when he was Khrushchev, he had like his head shaved, didn't he? And here he has like long hair. So
Yeah, I
that
feel like they
probably
were all
helped.
bald.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the finish comes when the referee is distracted by Mr. Fuji. Jimmy Hart runs back out there, tosses his megaphone to Axe, who nails Bret Hart with it. Smash gets the pin. Demolition wins the match, retains their championship in just under 10 minutes. What did you think about this one?
I liked it. I thought it had more substance to it and more point to it. Obviously, since it was a title match, but I just thought the match was better. I thought it was more cohesive. I thought that it flowed very well, and maybe it's just because I love Bret Hart. I was just more excited to see it. But I don't know, something about this match felt different. What did you think?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it was fine. I think, having the hindsight of the Hart Foundation just having turned into good guys, you had a feeling that it probably wasn't quite time to put the belts on them yet. So, but you knew it would probably happen down the line.
Yeah, and I mean, Hart Foundation was obviously, I don't know, like it's like it needed to simmer. There you go.
Hmm.
Yes, like they just turned good. It would be too easy to just go ahead and put it on them, and it would kind of leave Demolition to be like, well, what do you do with them?
Right.
So I get it.
Yeah. Well, backstage, Mean Gene is in the Heels locker room, and Honky Tonk Man is pissed about losing his Intercontinental Championship. He says he's been ripped off and robbed, saying he agreed to face any man, but he didn't agree to face a warrior. And as much crap as I give the guy, this was good work from Honky. This was genuine. Like he was throwing stuff all over the locker room. He seemed genuinely angry as a human being. I liked this.
It was almost like the Montreal Screwjob, how Brett came off so like he was so mad after. And I'm telling you,
Right.
Justin, you seem to compliment Honky quite a bit for someone who doesn't like him.
Look, I can compliment anybody verbally. In my head, different story.
Well, quick note, you kind of touched on this earlier, but Honky Tonk held this title for 454 days. And he was very proud of that. Like he was very proud of holding it longer than anybody else in WWF history. And it would take until 2024, like all these years later, for that record to be beaten by your man crush, Gunther.
Gunta.
Yeah, so he won it on June 10th, 2022, and he held it for 666 days. Ooh, there's some satanic panic for you 80s conspiracy nerds.
Oh, yes.
Oh. Yeah, I just want to talk about the days. I'm Rassle Stats now. I can talk about how many days.
Okay, I'll hand you over the password to the Rassle Stats account, and you can keep up with everything.
Oh gosh, you do so much work on that. I don't know how you do it. I don't know. Well, let's get into the next singles match.
It's at the risk of my sanity, which is slowly slipping away.
Oh, that's just age, Justin. It's the pickle juice cranberry cocktail. That's what it is.
That was the name of my first high school band.
Whoa, he did it. Whoa.
I did it. I stole your joke. You stole the Rassle Stats. I steal your joke.
I'm so proud of you. Well, we've got Big Boss Man versus KoKo BWare. So Big Boss Man, man, he was only 25 here. He's a baby. But he last wrestled on Starrcade 86 as Big Bubba Rogers. And, he was kind of a goof over there that didn't really look like he knew what he was doing very much. But KoKo BWare, he was last on WrestleMania 4, and he's 30 for this match.
Yeah, and you know what? Getting into this, because Big Boss Man's out there with his manager, Slick, I never realized before how tall Slick was. Like, he's in the ring here, and he's like a good foot taller than KoKo BWare, and he's about the same height as Big Boss Man, who is a big guy.
Yeah, and he always reminds me of, what's his name? Is it like Andre 3000 or something from Outkast because of his outfits and his hat and stuff like that? Yeah, but
I could see that.
do you have any insight on how like Big Boss Man like made that transition to WWF?
I don't. I mean, I think it's probably just like everybody else where there was an opportunity for bigger money and more fame and he went.
I'm guessing they just liked his size because I mean, I don't mean to be hateful or anything, but he just didn't do a lot in NWA and just kind of looked lost a
Yeah.
lot of the
And,
time. And
and,
he
and at that time in NWA, he truly was like brand new. I mean, he was like learning the ropes from the ground up. So
learning
yeah.
the ropes, wabam. Heh. Well, as for his character, like Big Boss Man, is he like Paul Blart? Because have you seen those movies, Justin? Paul Blart Mall Cop?
I have successfully avoided those for 20 years.
You shouldn't because they are very funny and it takes place in a mall and it's like a bustling mall and you and I love malls. And
True.
so I really think you should watch it. It makes me laugh out loud. Like it's very funny. But I like that Big Boss Man has like the keys and the handcuffs. It's just kind of cool, but he reminds me of a Paul Blart type character.
Yeah. So the whole thing was he was supposed to be a prison guard, a former prison guard.
Oh.
And apparently the story is in real life, he had worked as a prison guard in Cobb County, Georgia. And so later on, when he finally gets theme music, the words mention, if you ever take a trip down to Cobb County, Georgia. So it all kind of tied in.
Oh, well, I definitely didn't get prison guard off that. I got mall cop.
But to be fair, he looks like some of the mall cops we have here. So that works.
He looks way more intimidating than the 12-year-old mall cops they have here.
That's true. Now, there's a shot during the match of Frankie, KoKo BWare's parrot, in the foreground with the match in the background. And he's like kind of looking at the camera, almost like he's saying, welcome back to Masterpiece Theater. We join tonight's performance already in progress.
Yes,
Perfect.
dude. It cracked me up. It was like anytime Frankie looked at the camera, they cut to him. And so it's like someone was on Frankie watch and they'd say, like, quick, he's looking. Put the camera on him. But then, Justin, I ruined my whole day whenever I was, watching this pay-per-view because I thought, is Frankie still alive? Because I was like, these parrots can live to be like 100, right? Like, and so I was like, I'm gonna see if he's still alive. So I Googled it and he died in 2001. He was only 15 because KoKo BWare, he went to church and his house caught on fire and he died in a house fire. Not KoKo BWare, Frankie.
Yeah, that's like the most heartbreaking thing to me because I'm like, oh.
Oh, it breaks my
it.
heart because I think burning to death would be the worst way to die. And I have such a soft heart for animals. And so I'm like, oh, Frankie.
I know. It kills me. I don't want to think about it. Move on. More wrestling.
No,
more wrestling. Boss Man. Boss Man is so agile for his size. It's like his ass is on fire. No, not fire again. Geez.
No fire. God. No fire.
All right. But no, did you notice though that the bottom button on his shirt, it came undone early in the match? Like the rest of the match, Big Boss Man's big belly button is just winking at us through that shirt.
It really was. And I was like, I guess it just kind of became untucked. He needs a longer shirt for sure. Yeah. But, he was, and I'm not for sure on this, but I think I'm right. He's the first big boy we've seen go to the top ropes, right?
I think so.
I mean, I was trying to think, like, did Abdullah the Butcher ever do it? Because I feel like maybe he did, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, and he definitely, but he could do it. That was the thing, is it didn't look like crap when he did it. He was good enough to do it.
Yeah, so, definitely.
At one point, KoKo BWare, he's down on the outside after being hit with Boss Man's nightstick. And Frankie's just like looking down at him like he's saying, oh my, that's unfortunate. So good. Speaking of the nightstick, Gorilla says that nightstick weighs 25 pounds. In the words of Gorilla Monsoon, give me a break.
Yeah, I wrote down that exact same thing in my notes. It's like a little Spirit Halloween plastic stick. Like it does not weigh 25 pounds, Gorilla. It does not. No one believes you.
So dumb.
So dumb. Well, tell me, did this match really need to be on this card, or was it just like exposure for Big Boss Man?
I think that's what it was. Okay. Like brand new guys, show them. That's it.
Well, he did win. Big Boss Man won the match in 5 minutes and 57 seconds, just under 6 minutes. And we go backstage with Sean Mooney and Ultimate Warrior. Now,
oh boy.
Remember that weird Hulk Hogan promo about swimming with Trump on his back when the fault line splits the country in half? It was kind of like that.
Yeah. Hmm.
But
Yeah. In
Ultimate
fact, when Hogan was doing that promo, I remember thinking, this is an Ultimate Warrior promo.
Oh, okay. Because yeah, because Ultimate Warrior, he's like pumped to the point where like his whole body's shaking and he's doing that weird Randy Savage straining thing. And I'm like, you're gonna pop something in your neck, buddy. But he basically keeps saying like over and over that he's boarding a spaceship to quote parts unknown and Honky Tonk Man can find him there. What?
Uh,
What does this mean? Is this a metaphor? Like what does this mean?
I have no idea. He had no idea. Like, if this were real and I were his opponent and he said all that crap, I'd be like, okay,
Uh-huh.
I'm apparently facing somebody who is on drugs or is crazy.
Yeah, I was just sitting there thinking, am I hearing this right? But I have my subtitles on, so I knew he was actually saying that.
Yep.
Oh, bizarre. Well, let's get into the next one.
All right. This is the last match before our main event. Match number 9, Hercules versus Jake the Snake Roberts. Saw both of these guys wrestle last on WrestleMania 4. Very close in age here. Hercules was 32 years old. Jake Roberts, 33. So as we go on into this match, Gorilla and Billy Graham wonder where Bobby Heenan is, as he usually brings Hercules to the ring. That's a really good question. Like, I have no idea. I don't think they offered any explanation why Bobby Heenan wasn't there.
Yeah, and like you would think if he was planned to be there and just didn't show up, they wouldn't mention it. So,
Yeah, like I almost wonder if he was supposed to be, and then like he was actually backstage working out final details of the match in the main event. I don't know.
ooh, good thought. Well, it was in this moment, it took me freaking all night, but I finally realized who Billy Graham sounds like.
Who's
So
that?
all night I was thinking maybe Dusty Rhodes, but that's just like kind of the cadence of how he speaks. But no, I figured it out. It's Mark Briscoe. He
Oh
sounds
wow.
just like him, especially when he gets like super excited and starts getting a little can't understand him. He sounds just like Mark
Yeah.
Briscoe. Yep.
That is a really good call. Yeah,
Yeah.
they do sound a lot alike. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jake comes out there with the snake bag. He sets it down in the corner and it's immediately moving and nope, nope, nope. Nope, nope,
Every
nope.
time I think of you, every time I see that bag, I'm like, oh, Justin's
Well,
cringing.
and you know what? Yeah, you can think of me on the couch going, yeah. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You know, from the waist down, Hercules is so white. Like,
Mhm.
it's like he had a leg transplant and the donor was Sheamus.
Oh, dude, bro, I totally have that note. It says, why is Hercules early days Sheamus? Did they run out of self tanner? That's what I put.
It's like he tanned in the pool, but never like just with his shirt off. You know, he never
Right.
got out.
Yeah, it's that same super so pale you're pink thing. And like
Right.
with all these 80s wrestlers who were super tan, all of them, it really stands out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really strange. Now, it's crazy here how different Madison Square Garden looks since WrestleMania 1. Because remember that opening shot of WrestleMania 1, and we see the whole arena and the ring down there in the middle, and it's really dark and
Mhm.
dingy and grainy, and you can't see much of the crowd. The lighting, I guess, is the main thing. What I'm saying here makes it look like truly a completely different arena.
Oh yeah, and I was thinking maybe the cameras have upgraded a little bit too, not just with technology, but like with them having more money. But
Right.
I love when they zoom out and show the entire arena because it takes me back. Because like I don't know how to explain this. I remember like being in arenas and it looked like that. Like it looked like
Right.
that lighting, and it looked now they're so fancy. Which obviously it's cool to go into like the Sphere in Vegas. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. But I remembered arenas looking like that as a child, and like I just miss it. Like I miss the 90s, man.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you. And what's funny is 20 years from now, there's going to be people talking about, man, I miss the 2020s, man. It was just such a good time.
Oh, that's so sad.
Right. Right. I know. Crowd wasn't terribly into this match. They did notice, though, Hercules punched Jake square in his baby snake, and the referee did nothing. Happened right in front of the referee, and he did nothing.
I'm surprised you didn't say the baby Jake. Honestly, it's the baby snake. You always call it a baby. What do you call? I always forget Ric Flair's his little woo, or what do you call it?
His little woo.
Woo! What do you got?
It's little nature boy.
That's it. That's it. I always forget. And that
Well,
one's the one.
it's his baby snake.
What?
It's a baby
How
snake.
you know it's baby? Huh?
I've heard. I don't know. Crowd not too into this match. They weren't like bored, but maybe them already having seen Jake once during the night was part of that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Because it kind of goes back to was it WrestleMania 4? The one where Randy Savage had like 4 different entrances, and each
Yeah.
time it was like diminishing returns of like,
Yeah.
wow, I just got super nerdy on that diminishing returns. Hello, business school. But yeah, and I hear the air horns again, and like I think I need an air horn for when I feel like the match is going on too long, because that's when they started, and so I would need an air horn to be like, next match, like because I think that was their boredom signal.
You're going to need that for our next pay-per-view that we cover, but we'll get into that later in the show.
No.
Gorilla, of course, delivers his line about the external occipital protuberance. And Billy Graham says he'll have to look that up in a dictionary. You should try an encyclopedia, Billy. That you might have better luck.
Do those still exist? Like, do people still buy them? Like, we had a full-on encyclopedia set as kids. Like, do people still buy those for their kids?
I would highly doubt it. Like, I would think if anybody's still buying encyclopedias now, it's literally for something to put on their shelf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like a
the internet.
fancy thing, a vintage thing. That makes me wonder too, like, do they still make Encarta? Remember Encarta, which was supposed to be like an encyclopedia on your computer?
Yeah. So our grandma, Granny, she had that on her computer in San Antonio. And I remember there was a game you could play on it. And like, it was like a trivia
Mind
game.
Maze.
Oh, yeah. And I was real good at it. But man, Encarta, I'm going to do like a YouTube watch through of Mind Maze because like it'll take me back. But speaking of the external occipital protuberance and Gorilla had an oopsie. Did you catch it?
Uh-oh.
You didn't catch it. Okay.
Did his little gorilla fall out?
Oh, Lord. His plantain. Get it?
Oh, no.
Get it? That's pretty funny right there. Well, he had an oopsie, and I went back to make sure I heard it right, and it was correct. He said, Jake the Snake is here in Madison Square Garden, but you can bet his mind is on Jake the Snake Roberts. I think he meant Rick Rude, but it's like he confused 2 thoughts.
I'll bet his mind was on Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yep.
Probably pretty heavy.
Yep. So, yeah, that was just what I caught. I was like, hold up, rewind. Yep.
Yeah. Well, Jake Roberts wins the match in just over 10 minutes. Post-match, Jake puts the snake on top of Hercules, who doesn't really care. And it's not like he was acting like he was passed out. Like his eyes were open and the snake's just crawling all over him and he's just chilling.
Probably felt good. That snake's cold. He's hot. Like it was probably nice. It's kind of like a massage or something.
Well, out of this match, we get a recap of the main event feud heading into tonight, and that takes us live to our main event of SummerSlam 88.
Yes, it is a tag team match, and it's not even a title match. Kind of weird for a main event, but with the special referee, Jesse Ventura. Ooh, darling, I miss you on commentary, but it is the Mega Bucks versus the Mega Powers. So we saw all these dudes on WrestleMania 4. But let's get into the ages. So Andre the Giant, he's getting up there. He's 42 at this point. Ted DiBiase, only 34. He's my age? What?
Yeah.
What? Oh,
yeah.
Hulk Hogan was 35 and Randy Savage was also 35. But a little bit of match history. So Randy Savage had spent the summer feuding with Ted DiBiase over the WWF Championship while Hulk Hogan was away filming the movie No Holds Barred. So during an interview... What?
Oh, I was making a barfing sound. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you were being an air horn because I was boring you. I thought you were like, okay, next. Oh gosh. So during an interview, DiBiase and Andre attacked Savage, and Savage challenged them to a tag team match, eventually revealing his mystery partner to be the returning Hulk Hogan. Andre and Ted had an ace up their sleeve and chose Jesse Ventura, who usually sided with the heels, to be the special guest referee.
So as we get into this match, lots of stalling. at the very
Mm-hmm.
beginning, like ahead of the bell ringing. And then Jesse even unties the tag ropes and puts them in different corners. I don't know if there's a reason for that. Like we were talking about earlier, like maybe something was wrong or if he was just stalling to build the anticipation a little bit more. Very weird.
He was killing my anticipation. Like I was irritated by it, but I'm gonna blame Hulk Hogan because I feel like
Oh,
anything around him takes way longer than it's supposed to.
that's true. That's very, very
Right?
true.
Well, you know what faction you get when you combine the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega? It's not the Elite, it's the Mega Bucks. You missed an opportunity,
Oh,
boys. You missed it.
boy.
Mega Bucks, Kenny
Oh,
Omega. Get it?
boy. Yeah.
Well,
Uh-huh.
also, in addition, the Mega Bucks is a slot machine that I hate. It makes me mad. It's $5 to spin, one line. If you win, you get like $60 million. But I can never win crap on that machine.
Why do you keep playing it?
Because you can win, like, it's like winning the lottery if you win. I think I won like maybe like $400 on it one time.
You
I
have
got like a
ridiculous
lottery.
luck with slot machines.
No, I don't. I've been terrible lately.
Lately, but then I'll get like some picture from Vegas and you're like, look at this. And it says like $1,500 because I played the right Wonka thing or whatever.
Well, it definitely, my luck has not been good lately. Also, you don't know how much I spend. Like, it's like I will be down to my last dollar and then I win back my $1,500 that I brought for the trip or whatever.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
A profit and loss statement might be needed here.
Dude, it's actually kind of good that I lose because then I don't have to pay any taxes on those big wins because it
It's
does
true.
even out.
It's
So,
true.
yeah, well, Ted DiBiase, he looks like a dad in a 90s sitcom, like Home Improvement or like Step by Step, doesn't he?
Yeah, I can say I've never thought about that, but yeah.
I think it's the hair. But with that, I will say DiBiase is getting hella beat up in this match while Andre doesn't do much, but he is selling, oh my God, so well. And like to me, he's easily the best wrestler in this match.
Yeah, Ted was great. Like we talked about it when we first saw him. Like he gets all this notoriety for the gimmick of the $1 Million Man, but he was a stupendous wrestler. And yeah, and of course at this point, Andre really feeling the health issues, really feeling his body breaking down. So you kind of had to figure Ted was going to have to do most of the heavy lifting here, and he did. He did great.
Yeah, well, Andre's butt isn't breaking down because he keeps doing the Rikishi stink face to Savage. You know, like he keeps like ramming his butt into him. Like that's Rikishi's move. So like, does that mean Andre's in the bloodline? Whoa.
Oh, he's in the butt line.
Ayo, ayo.
You know, there's actually a funny story. I can't remember who told the story, but Andre was like in the ring with somebody and was like sitting on their chest or something like that. And the guy down there is just going, oh my God, stop it, stop it. And the referee's like, Andre, what are you doing to him? And Andre laughs and goes, I'm farting.
Oh God. And you know that's a rumble. That is a rumble.
Right. He probably caused that guy to have heart palpitations as big as those farts probably were right on his chest.
He probably passed out from that nasty smelly. I mean, you know it was sweaty in there. Andre's always sweaty. So you know.
He needed a muffler, baby.
Oh God, not the muffler again. Not the muffler again. But again, we are talking about farts. So
that's true. That's
we're just
true.
ridiculous.
Now, during the match, Randy goes to the top rope to do his flying elbow drop, but then Hulk points to another corner and says, do it over there. And so Randy hops down and then runs to that corner instead. Again, like there's something going on with the corners here that I don't understand.
We need to Google that. Some person on Reddit has like figured out the answer to that. And like, I was going to ask you like what the significance was because I thought almost it was like, he knew like Andre would wake up in that time it took. Cause you know, Andre was knocked out on the ground. And so it's like, he was like, no, go over there because he knew Andre would wake up. And like with the impending feud between Randy Savage, the impending feud with Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan, I thought like, oh, he knows that Savage will get hurt by Andre if he takes the time over there because Hogan is a heel.
He is a heel.
So
well, completely.
So yeah, I didn't know if there was something wrong with that or if he was hoping Andre would wake up and hurt him. I don't know. But
I have no idea. It's very odd.
the secret weapon is revealed, Justin. It is Elizabeth who takes off her skirt and she's like walking around like flaunting her stuff. And it made me laugh because it wasn't even revealing at all. Like it was like the women in their swimsuits when they wrestle are show more than that.
Yeah.
But like she takes off her skirt and it's just like walking back and forth and like kind of pose. And like Andre and the dudes are just like, whoa. And
Right.
it was kind of goofy, but I guess that is the secret weapon. What'd you think of that?
You know what? Yes, it was goofy, but like at the time, it's like Elizabeth hadn't done anything like that. Like you mentioned earlier, like this is her Sandy from Greece moment,
Mm-hmm.
and even though it wasn't that bad, it was way more than we'd ever seen Miss Elizabeth do before. So in the context of everything, I mean, of course I knew what was coming too, but I enjoyed it. Maybe it was just nostalgia for me.
Hey, if she like pulled off her top and had tassels and was making them dance, now that would be a distraction. That's a secret weapon.
That's true. That's true.
Well, Jesse, he didn't want to count the 1, 2, 3, and I thought that was very funny. So the Mega Powers did win the match in 1357. Now on the 3 count, Savage had to actually pick up Jesse's arm and make him do the final 3 count because he wasn't going to do it. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, what do you think about that? And like Jesse being the ref and all of that.
I remember it doesn't lead to like Jesse being any further involved in storylines or
Okay.
anything like that. I think it was just one of those things where he ended up having to do the right thing, whether he wanted to or not. So there was culpability there, on both sides.
Hmm.
And so, maybe not culpability, maybe accountability
There you
on
go.
both sides. And so, I liked the finish just fine. I really did.
Yeah, and man, my brain is so in 2024 because I was just waiting for like, okay, so I expected JYD to turn on Jake the Snake, but I was just waiting for Hulk to punch out Savage. Like I was like, oh, here it comes, but then no dice.
Yeah. Yeah. But did you notice the subtlety of something that happened in that post match celebration?
Tell me and I'll tell you if I saw it and just didn't realize the importance of it.
They're celebrating. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And Randy's looking out at the crowd and he's waving his finger in the air like he does. Well, in the meantime, behind him, Hogan has picked up Elizabeth and she's holding on to him and he's walking around carrying Elizabeth. And then Randy hops down and sees this, and Elizabeth goes to hug Randy. And Randy just briefly is looking at Hulk Hogan and kind of puts his arms up like, what the hell, brother? And then they go back to celebrating and everything seems to be okay. But there was just a few, like 5 seconds there where it seemed like maybe Randy was really suspicious of Hogan there.
Okay, I did catch that because I thought it was weird that Elizabeth was up there because remember, Randy, even in like real life, was concerned about George, the sweater Steele, and like that's obviously not a threat, but like Hulk actually could be a threat because he's like the top star in wrestling. So on that, so I did notice him being like, "What?" But I kind of thought it was real, like or something, or maybe I was looking too far into it. But
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Well.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, what are your final thoughts on this very first SummerSlam?
You know what? I thought overall it was a fun show. We talked about how there are some matches that probably didn't need to be on this show. It is a sign of the times. I mean, you think about now, not only do you have weekly TV that you can become familiar with wrestlers on, you've got social media, you've
Oh,
got
yeah.
Instagram, you got Twitter, you got TikTok, you got all these other ways of getting familiar with these people if you want to learn more about them. So in some ways, this was the only shot that they had to really show these people on a big scale. So was there some pointless stuff? Yeah, but I think there was a lot of really fun stuff here. I liked watching this show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this show too. It did seem a little long at times, and even with as short as some of the matches were, I even felt like some of those went on too long. Like it felt longer, but I like the general overall like storyline of the show. I definitely enjoyed it more than Survivor Series being the inaugural first show, just because it played more to my again ADHD brain, but I really enjoyed the show. And I actually really, really enjoyed the main event, which all of the other Hulk Hogan main events, I've been like, okay, that's fine. But I saw this as a main event, especially because there wasn't a title on the line. So it's cool that they could, make it seem that important, even though there was no title. So
Yeah,
I
pure
liked it.
grudge match.
So yeah, I agree with you. I really like the show. A lot of matches. What was it? 10 matches, but
Yeah.
I think it worked out well. I'll be excited to watch the next one for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, what
Well,
happened after?
let's get into what happened after this. So Demolition, they held the tag team championships for another 11 months after this show, leading to a record-setting 16-month reign as the WWF Tag Team Champions. Big Boss Man started teaming with One Man Gang, who had been repackaged as Akeem the African Dream, who we will see very, very shortly. Now, over the next few months, several of the stars that have been brought in during the WWF's national expansion started drifting away from the company. So that would include the likes of Ken Patera, Junkyard Dog, and Don Morocco, guys like that. And finally, as we just started getting into Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan. Now, this pay-per-view kind of marks the end of their feud with Andre the Giant and Ted DiBiase, so they can move on. Everybody can move on. But Randy and Hulk, they continued to work together. We started seeing teases of a split based on Randy's jealousy of Hulk Hogan. So Randy Savage would start hinting that he was always tired of always being seen as second place to Hogan. And then Hogan, meanwhile, he would start asking Miss Elizabeth to accompany him to the ring for his matches, and he would be overly nice to her. And we'll get into that more as we work through the next few pay-per-views, but it ends up being a really fun storyline with a really fun payoff.
How dare Hulk Hogan take another man's wife and make her come out to the ring? But like, also, Miss Elizabeth, you have a brain too. Like, maybe you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, not to like victim blame or, blame the woman, but Miss Elizabeth, she just does what she's told. That was the 80s, I guess.
Oh, Randy.
Oh, Randy. He should have had Susan accompany him to the ring.
We love Susan.
We love her. Well, Justin, before we go, hit me with some more wrestle
There
stats.
they are. Well, we got a little bit more of the same, really, because some of these stats bumped up on this show. Randy Savage, he still has the most matches on the WWF and NWA pay-per-views we've covered. 12 matches for Randy Savage. He also has the most wins with 10 wins.
Dang.
Now, the most losses goes to a duo, Don Morocco and Nikolai Volkov. Each have lost 6 matches on all the pay-per-views that we've watched. There's been 140 matches on all the pay-per-views we've watched so far. Out of those, 5 of them have been rematches, including tonight. We added one, Dino Bravo versus Don Morocco. So that's 3.57% of matches that have been rematches on pay-per-view. And out of those 140 matches, 50 of them have been title matches for a percentage of 35.71%. You can get more wrestle stats like that almost every single day of the week for current wrestling on twitter.com/wrestlestats. And also on Twitter, you can talk to Michelle.
Yeah, you can talk to me at Michelle Tater. Justin, I'm insufferable right now with my Texas Longhorn tweets. I am going to the Texas versus Georgia football game this weekend. I cannot wait. It's going to be insane. Game day is going to be there. So I kind of want to like hit up Pat McAfee and be like, hey, let's talk wrestling.
You should take an air horn.
Oh, an air horn. Hell yeah.
Or you should buy a program and cheer through it. And then you should take pictures with a camera with a bunch of flash cubes on the top.
Yes, and then people will take pictures of me and put me online. I'll become a time traveler conspiracy thing.
What a goal in life, right?
I know. Well, Justin, what are we doing? What's our next show?
So our next show next week is another WWF show. It is the second ever WWF Survivor Series 1988. I will prepare you now. There's only 4 matches on this show. That does not mean this is a short show.
Oh, God. I did really bad with the first Survivor Series.
You ain't going to do much better on this one.
Oh, but you know what would help me? Like really
What?
big? A muffler.
Oh, God.